All right, welcome to another episode of the Masters in Motion podcast. I'm Jason Grubb. I've got Rick Stevenson here, and we are doing a quick recording here on Friday afternoon. The week just got away from us, Rick. The CrossFit Open, it finished on Monday, I guess.
Monday, right?
We're already a few days after that. So, yeah, catch me up on your last Open.
This is post work. For those of my work counterparts that choose to listen to these, this is after work hours, which I alluded to in a chat with somebody. But yeah, it's been a busy week. Monday night started with I told you about an athlete, a Boulder athlete, who decided to retest 25.3 right at the whistle. He was uploading it with less than an hour to go. And then, thanks to Boulder programming, those second sessions, when you do them right after work, it takes some time, and you get home and you need to eat dinner and get some family stuff done. And suddenly it's 9:30 and you're like, okay, that's the end of the day. So,
yep.
Good week for you overall.
Good week. Yeah. I heard of a number of athletes that did a last minute retest of 23.5. Because they're watching the leaderboard, and just to be sure. And a couple of those athletes, ended up quitting because they're just not going to beat their score. They look at the timestamps; they're not going to beat it. But one of our athletes, one of my training partners, Lauren, with an hour to go, she decided she had tried to test earlier in the day, and stopped because she wasn't going to beat her time. And then with an hour to go, she was on the cutoff line, and she decided to retest it. She sold her soul, gave everything, shaved off a good amount of time, got ourselves into semifinals. And so it's fun when, you just have people. It's the one time of the year where it makes sense to retest if you want to, give it all you got, and see where that lands. Is everybody who qualifies for semifinals, have a realistic shot for the games? No, but it's another opportunity to test yourself. And I think that's why a lot of people do this. So it's pretty awesome, right?
And somebody put out a post. I took it for granted because in the 50 to 54 age group and some of the older ones, we didn't have enough men or women to sign up. So they took the top 200. That was just the number, not 2%. But in the younger age groups that had more than, I think it would be more than 10,000 sign up, there were numbers posted you had to be inside of, and they were odd numbers. It was nothing pretty to look at. It was 243 or 328 or just something random like that. So you had to know what your specific age group was and the cutoff.
Yes.
As we got into us older groups, hey, the old 200 number worked fine. But
it was easy.
Just because I don't even know. I think we're 7,800 or 8,000 or something like that, down from last year, of course, in our age group.
Controversies that came up around 23.5. A couple things came up. I think we'll talk a little bit about some movement patterns that a friend. I would say, hey, we're on the good side of Andrew Hiller because we don't. We move well, Rick. So, I don't know about you, but when I'm going to post my video from a workout to YouTube, I'm going to make sure that I don't want to end up on a Hiller video. I just, I want to end up on a good way. And I've been on there in a good way a couple of times. But, I even sent you my video on the wall walks.
Yes.
Because it was close on moving my hand before my foot. That's a rule that we have. And when I was doing the workout, I was very clear in my head about not moving my hands until my second foot touched. But man, it was kind of close. It was closer than I would like to see in a video. And then I saw the most egregious versions of that. I was like, okay, there's times when it's absolutely clear that someone is not following the rules. And then in my video, you can see, I am moving fast, but it's, I had both feet touch, whatever. All that to say, we'll talk about movement patterns in a second. But one of the things that I got feedback on was the 55 plus scaling for that workout.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. What have you heard about that?
all just a little bit of word disgust is too much, too strong. Um, Dissatisfaction with all three, all three open tests. Maybe the lighter barbell probably, or the lighter dumbbell makes sense for 25.1, but um, the lighter barbells, the lack of higher skilled gymnastics in 25.2, and the modified wall walk, which was the same standard, I think, as the scaled, right? Wasn't it?
Right.
Uh,
It was.
that
Yeah.
and much lighter as well, too. Just left a bad taste in both men's and women's mouths with the overall programming. Um, that's feedback. I know you're on the council. I know there's some other members and that are across the age groups that are on the council. And do you take that back to when you have your meetings? I mean, it's probably semifinals programming is probably baked in right now. So that I would
Yeah.
guess. But this is for the
What's
future, for
interesting,
improvement.
I totally agree with that. And we do have a meeting with Castro and the team a week from today. I believe it's a week from today. So it'll be next Friday, I think is when it's scheduled. And we've, as divisional athletes, we have our
Divisional.
email messages that we really we kind of communicate that way, and we've all expressed in that fact that the scaling was too dramatic, and honestly, it's discouraging. I don't want to age up if that's the scaling that's going to be provided. I mean, it's just not. It's just not it's not a good test. It's maybe insulting. I don't know what the right word is, but one of the pieces of feedback that I had to our group was that at semifinals last year, they had a better breakdown for age groups. They had
Absolutely.
a 35 to 40-year-old group, 45 to 49,
Mm-hmm.
50 to 50, 50, 54 to 50. And so
Yep.
all that
Yep.
say that they're able to do this. This is not hard. I don't think
Yes.
it's that complicated for an affiliate to do this. And if this is the qualifying process for to get you to semifinals without a quarterfinal buffer, then obviously we're going to share that feedback. So just to those of you guys that are listening, that is strong feedback we'll give CrossFit on that. That the scaling was too much, and that there's certainly opportunities for more designation among age groups. And again, just not such scaling is so dramatic, really crazy.
I've always wondered because it's done, I think, intelligently at the semifinals level. And being the geek I am, I went back and looked at like the first workout last year. You had a different snatch weight than I did, and 55 plus had a different snatch weight than we did. And
Yes.
the 35s had even heavier. So the open has just been so traditional, 16 to 54. That's it. That's what you get. And then 55 and up get something way different. And I don't understand why it can't be the shades of gray for the open. You're already
You know,
printing scaled, and you have different scorecards for everything. Why can't you add another line or two for some of the age groups?
I totally agree. And I think when CrossFit was in its infancy, when the open was younger,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't know the capacity, and there wasn't that
That's
many
fair.
people building up into that. So in the early 2010s, when the open was, okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
55 plus, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the line in the sand for that age group. But the sport has evolved. The sport has matured. You've got
Mm-hmm.
Josh Bridges, who's a 40-year-old now. You have,
Mm-hmm.
Froning, who's a 35 plus. You've got Kevin Kester, another legend, who's now 55 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin can do 20 bar muscle ups unbroken, and he's not even doing full wall walks in an open test, which is craziness.
Right. Right.
So I think that the sport just needs to evolve there, and luckily they are seeking feedback. We actually have a channel of feedback that
Correct.
we can provide. Again, we'll see if they're able to respond to that, and hopefully, fingers crossed, semifinals the following week, when those are released, they will have similar age breakdowns that they've had past couple of years. So hopefully that carries forward. Otherwise, we'll probably bring that up during our Zoom call with HQ, just like, hey, if for some reason you're not scaling this the way you did at semifinals last year, you guys got to get out ahead of this. Like, get the website team, get everyone on call. You cannot have two divisions of age groups for semifinals. I don't think they will.
No,
but we'll just be like, hey, just in case you guys reverted back to that, like, it's not going to work. So that's big feedback from the Open. I think as far as the overall tests go, there could always be critiques about the time domains. Did we have, our longest test was actually 15 minutes, unless some people went all the way to 20 minutes on this one. So you've got Dallin Pepper that was sub 10 minutes, and you've got lots of people that are just, pulling that last row at 19:59. So this was the long workout for the majority of athletes. I think if you look at the Beyond the Whiteboard, how they do that, they have those, they have all the data, right? And they start revealing that most people, this was about, an 18 to 20 minute workout. That's the most people. So this was long. The burpee workout was the medium length. And then I guess the thruster workout was the quote unquote short workout with the 12-minute time.
Yeah, because the cap was there. Yeah. The cap helped.
Yeah. So was it well-rounded? Probably good enough in 3 weeks. Did it have enough high skill? It had bar muscle-ups, and I know a lot of people got their first bar muscle-up. I think that's always positive. Does the Open always have to have ring muscle-ups? No. Do we need to have highest skill, really heavy weights in the Open? Not necessarily.
No. As much as everybody might want something, it's a community event.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. Low barriers to entry.
Yeah. Low barriers. And every once in a while they had, a max thruster a couple of years ago. They've had maxes. And so I never rule that out. I'm always expecting a 2-part score. I'm always like, it could be coming. But if there's more, and since we're on the topic, and those that are listening, if you have other specific feedback that you'd like us to share with HQ about the Open, we'll certainly share that in that debrief. Shifting gears, another piece of feedback. Yeah, thank you. Another piece of feedback that I've gotten about semifinals. So those that have qualified for semifinals, you have, and I think this will segue again into good movement patterns. So we won't forget to talk about that, Rick. But semifinals is a completely different experience than the Open. In the sense of the Open, you've got, someone judging you. There's not requirements on who judges you. The affiliate manager is supposed to check scores and unvalidate scores. All that. Semifinals is different. Now you have to have a judge that has their L1 and 2 judges courses completed, right? You have to have a head judge for that affiliate that's doing the same thing. So if you're the only person competing in your affiliate, you actually have 2 judges at all time. If there's 10 people competing in your affiliate, you have judges plus a head judge. You have to have a video of this. This is all a big deal. And some of the feedback I've gotten, Rick, was, is there any way we can get this changed? Can we get this rule changed? Because there's people who, this also has to be done at an affiliate. So there's people.
Yeah, affiliate, good standing. I love that phrase they use. An affiliate or
affiliate in good standing. So there's lots of people that don't train to an affiliate. They're going to have to drive to an affiliate. They're going to have to inconvenience an affiliate in that sense, and have 2 judges for that if the affiliate isn't already providing that. And that's a tall order. I know that in your case, that's something you're going to have to figure out. I know a lot of athletes have to figure that out. So have you heard any feedback around that? Let's process that. Is this a good idea? Is this a not good idea? Is it overkill? Let's jump in.
I think it's, again, too late to change. In fact, just this afternoon, CrossFit released 2 short videos we would encourage people to watch that Boz laid out some of the specifics that you just touched on, only a couple of minutes each in length. And so I think obviously way too late to have any change now, but here we go with probably there wasn't enough last year or in previous years. Pendulum swings so far the other way, too much this year. And as we keep tweaking this sport of ours, we'll land somewhere in the middle. But this year is onerous. And I think that I'm just looking at it from the perspective of the 50 to 54, both men and women. When you just have 200, it'll be similar to another old AGOQ where you might have 150 to 165 scores of men and women doing all of the whatever the tests are, how many ever
Sure.
are released. There just are going to be a number of people that are not going to hassle, could be out of town, just don't want to travel, and or can't find the requisite number of judges.
Yeah. And
It is going to be a hassle, and that's what I've heard, plain and simple.
yeah, it is. It's the pendulum swung from last year where the feedback to CrossFit was certainly there has to be something to be done about poor movement patterns and video review not happening. We were adamant. we were is a big deal. And you know, since they've changed the format from quarterfinals to semifinals, not just for age group, but for the individuals as well, and they have an individual semifinals that actually qualifies people to the games. Because it's not an in-person competition, semifinals will take them to the game. So they increased all of the requirements to make sure that the right people qualify. There's no one sneaking in, you know, under the radar that didn't get properly judged. And they passed that same template to us as age group athletes. So from my perspective, on one hand, thank God, because you're just not going to have people at the games that shouldn't be there. So I'm all for it from that perspective. I'm also talking about a person that trains at an affiliate in good standing, and we've coordinated to have a head judge, Dave Hardy, drive down and be our head judge for the week, and invited any Masters athletes that want to come. And
I know.
the invitation is still open. Anybody that wants to come can certainly come and do this with us, but it is a big hassle, right? So we're trying to minimize that hassle, but we are getting a judge. And I'll tell you what, Rick, even the best L1 coach who has passed both of their at the judges courses, judging Jason Grubb, 5-time CrossFit Games champion, they're still afraid to no rep me. And that's tricky. I need them to no rep me.
Yeah.
And so when you have a head judge, and the head judge's job is to be a hard ass, if we want to say it that way, they can get in there and they can say, hey, that's a no rep, right? So that there's a second level of accountability. I do appreciate that because it's actually really hard to judge. And I when I'm judging other athletes, I find it hard. You know, is a lockout a lockout? Did they get deep enough? It's very challenging. But I have a head judge there to
counting double
help take some counting double unders. But the head judge is going to make sure that movement is good. And again, you want that in place so that when you submit your video online and hundreds, thousands of people could view your video, you want to see someone say no rep, not have someone invalidate your video and have to have that get escalated.
Let's talk about that for a second. Workouts are due. Format of choice. The only format they'll accept is YouTube. Scores and videos are due by Sunday, close of the competition window. Probably 8 Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'm not sure.
Whatever that is, something like that.
Yeah. From that point on through Friday, and this was reiterated in the video that just came out. So for those next 5.5 days, if you have passed your judge's course, that's the one requirement, you can go in and view anybody's video and judge it. And only if, I think they left it a little vague, if there are a number of thumbs down or needs modification hits, will then it get escalated up to the review team. And we know they are time constrained and capacity constrained. So that's why they're not looking at thousands and thousands of video. They're going to look at the ones that the community has deemed to need a second set of eyes. And only then can HQ hand down a penalty or overrule the community and say, you're just being harsh. This is a good video. And if your video doesn't get any of those thumbs down or not enough of them or whatever their formula is, it can get passed on and you can assume your score is the score you're going to take. So again, CrossFit does not have the time nor energy to look at everybody's, even Jason Grubb's videos. They're not looking at them all unless
No,
unless the flags go up.
but when you have the community given the privilege of doing this, you crowdsource this, and this is, I mean, I think this is a great idea. I don't think they needed to do all of this head judge, main judge, crowdsource. Like that's maybe it's a smidge overkill, but thankfully there's at least this crowdsource solution. Of course, the questions that come up in my mind are in the open. There is a crowdsource element where, Rick, if you don't do your open at an affiliate, you have to submit a video.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't like your video, or if I just didn't like you, I could just I could thumbs down your video.
Yep.
And does action actually get taken on that? So that's one of the questions that's come from the open. I don't think any action has actually come from.
No,
I've had
I don't think so
multiple people send videos that they've seen online, and it's just egregious movement patterns. And these people are moving on to semifinals because HQ is not actually doing it
unless Andrew Hiller calls you out.
Yeah, and you self edit.
He was a stand-up dude and said, look, I didn't meet the standards. I'm pulling myself out. So hats off to him. I mean,
if we could get
him for doing the right thing.
We should crowdsource Hiller. I would be open to it. Maybe Kipping It Real. I don't know. Just get a bunch of YouTubers and if and reshare the most egregious videos, right? Call people out. So if HQ doesn't actually take action, and I believe they will take action
right.
in this process. I believe they will. If they don't, there will be a whole bunch of feedback to provide, obviously. But yeah, you will be able to get in there and we'll be able to see people's videos. It's access to the world, or if you have your online, you'll be able to see the video if you have that judges course pass. That's kind of a safeguard. But it just means that all that's really important. And when it does come to movement patterns, I mean, I did see a lot. Hiller pointed out quite a few, which was always entertaining. This is where he shines. It's
I know
some of the best entertainment video there. I love it. I love his top 30, top 20. Those are all really fun.
I might have.
I don't ever want to be on there.
The last week, I need to find it. I hope he's released it.
I know. I hope he's just working on it. Right.
Yeah.
That's always fun. But I've also had people reach out to me on Instagram and via text to say that are really striving to try to make it to the games. I mean, I can think of a friend of mine that's striving to make it to his first game. Mm-hmm. So he is analyzing the leaderboard consistently, and he's watching the people that are qualifying. And you see people on a leaderboard that may have beaten you. Maybe you're in 70th place, coming off of the Open, and you need to be top 30 to go to
mm-hmm.
To the games in a particular division. And you see videos of like 5 different people, and those videos are really rough. You've got mm-hmm. not locked out arms on dumbbell clean and jerks. You've got, not poor movement patterns all around, not depth on squats. And that's always concerning. So our encouragement, I think you and I, we can't control how people move, but we can encourage people. Now's the time to ensure your movement patterns are crisp and clean. You've got 2 weeks, right? 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks from today. Oh, 2 weeks. We'll be doing semifinals in 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks from today. Yes.
Yeah. Rick, deep breath. We'll have
deep breath.
We'll have had semifinal workouts for 24 hours at this recording time 2 weeks from now.
Correct.
Oh boy. So now, let's just practice. Make sure you're getting to depth. Have people look at you. Hey, am I deep enough on these overhead squats?
It doesn't matter who you are. Yes. I mean, you and I sit here because we have this, platform to shout out loud like that. But I don't move perfectly. I need to work on, movement quality as well. And you are very, very concerned about it. I mean, we just haven't been on a Hiller video. That doesn't mean that, I might not get sloppy on a lockout. I have to ensure that I take the time to do that. And if that means a little bit slower, I'm going to try and go as fast as I can, but I don't want to go as fast as I can at the expense of the movement quality, because a penalty after the fact, after the competition is over, is hard to come back from.
Yeah.
And especially someone like me who's not maybe in the top 5, if you're on the towards the back end of it, you get a penalty, you get knocked back, you're not coming back in,
Yeah,
save
there's
for a
no wiggle
miracle.
room.
Right. Right.
So some of the movements that come to mind for me that you want to ensure or almost exaggerate, um, overhead position on lockouts. We don't have to get crazy, but locking elbows is important. And one of the ways that you can make it look like you're more locked out and that the barbell's overhead is making sure, like for example, on a jerk or something, your head is through, right? If you
Right.
push your head
Yeah.
through, it creates this clear lockout, right? So that's just one of these cheat codes. Another cheat code is like on ring muscle ups. If you get to the top of a ring muscle up and you turn the rings parallel or even just a little bit beyond parallel, so instead of turned inward, so your knuckles facing forward, you would turn the palm of your hand sort of facing forward at the top of a ring muscle up. At the very end, you flash that palm of your hand forward or slightly forward. It demonstrates lockout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing on like deadlifts. So deadlifts, if you have your face, if you're looking at the floor on deadlifts, you create the
Chances are your
illusion that you're
shoulders.
not
Yep.
quite, yeah,
Yep.
you don't look locked out. You might be, but you don't look that way. So if you just stand up and have your chest or your
That
face
spot.
or your head forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
These things on front squats as well, on a front squat, which are always just really easy to get no reps on. You just a little butt squeeze at the top. If you just flash your hips, you butt squeeze just for 1 second at the top, you're going to create this flash that's going to look, it's going to be very apparent that you're locked out. And remember that not only do you have 4 sets of eyeballs on you in person, which is nice. You've got
Mm-hmm.
your buddy that's judging you, who's got all their credentials. You've got the head judge who may be a friend, who may not be a friend, but you're relying on them. But in the end,
That's
the
4
the
eyeballs.
person that's a judge is a teeny little camera, the other side of an iPhone camera. That is the community that's watching you. So you have to make it clear for the camera, because when it comes down to it, if your judges give you the rep, and like you said, your judges give you the rep, but you didn't stand up on a front squat, and it doesn't look like you stood up on a front squat multiple times in a video, you're done. You're done.
Yep.
There's no wiggle room.
Absolutely.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
We'll probably have a lighter topic next week when we get together.
I don't know. I think we both take this quite seriously, Rick. This is a deep conversation.
It's our sport. It's fun. I mean, we can get wrapped up in it, and a lot of people could just look at us and say, "Why are you worrying so much about exercising really fast?" That's because we care. You get nervous ahead of something because you care. So,
yep,
it's not unusual.
Golfers get excited about the courses they're going to play. They remember all the courses they have played. And we remember what the CrossFit Open 19.2 was, because we just locked that in. One quick thing before we wrap this up, Rick, because we chatted about this earlier. You had shared with me some low sign-up numbers on the CrossFit pairs competition.
Correct.
And
yes.
Maybe the World Fitness Project. Tell me what you've discovered at this point.
I just saw the post from the World Fitness Project, not pairs. I'm still very curious about pairs because that was driven by your open scores. The World Fitness Project, the first event for the community, which is where the pros will compete as well, is just at a sports park north of Indianapolis in May, maybe the second weekend of May. And it was a first come, first serve, same sex pairs of 2. And the age group editions, I forget how they were broken out, had very few signups, both men and women. And I was a little surprised by that. In fact, I was looking at it specifically, then I looked at our age group. There were only 2 teams at the time that post was made. So
Gotcha.
I think there was 1 team for a female older age group or something like that. So there's still plenty of time. And now that the Open is over, some people can reassess and say, maybe I want to, focus my money and resources and energy this direction. Maybe I'm Midwest located. It's a quick drive from Chicago or Louisville or something like that. But at that stage, it was a little surprising that the community hadn't taken up as much interest in it. And I think a lot of people have opinions on the World Fitness Project, but just reiterating what I saw. Very surprised at the low numbers.
Well, we'll keep you all updated on that. Rick is our data guy, so I'm sure we'll be able to circle back on that. And I think it'll be interesting to see. I know that I had a couple of athletes reach out interested in doing the CrossFit pairs competition at the Masters Fitness Championship, which looks really interesting. I couldn't commit prior to the Open, which was when you had to sign up, but registration has reopened because I know that. So registration is back open again.
That's good to hear.
Which tells me,
I haven't missed one yet, and I don't want to miss one, but I could have a conflict that weekend. So I'm working on some stuff. So, but that's in October.
Let's figure that out.
Doesn't October?
It's in October.
Like a lifetime away. Yeah, but it'll be here before you know it.
And I can't commit to anything in October right now. Like, it's crazy. I don't know what my life looks like in October. I'll find out I'll be there. Boulder Athlete will be there.
Right.
We just need to find out if I'm competing, what that looks like, and I don't even know what the age groups are. I don't know when the cutoff in the age group. I'll be 50 at the end of October, but I don't even know. Yeah. More to come. We'll learn. At some point, you and I will be on a team, and we'll just crush some souls. Rick. It'll be so fun.
You can't age up yet, please. No, not for pairs.
Not yet.
In Fort Wayne. Let me enjoy Fort Wayne as older.
One more time, and then I'm coming.
All right,
my man. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Care. Thanks for tuning in to the Masters in Motion podcast. We'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast app. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us reach more listeners and grow our Masters community. Until next time, get bolder, not older.